Showers and thunderstorms drenching parts of the Bluegrass State. We'll track them just ahead.
A robber holds a grandmother and mother at gunpoint in their home in front of 2 children. Coming up, why others in this Lexington neighborhood have their own safety concerns.
Police are searching for an escaped inmate who walked away from Blackburn, and it's not the first time he's escaped.
This is WKYT News at 4.
Welcome to WKYT News at 4. Andrea Walker and Amber Philpott reporting. Storms are rolling back into the Bluegrass State over the next week. We can hear them now.
We can. Here's a live look now at downtown Lexington from one of our sky cams, a rainy one. Some of the storms out there tonight could be on the strong side, causing some concerns for maybe some high water. Let's check in now with Chief Meteorologist Chris Bailey.
Yeah, local scale, we're getting hammered out there across parts of the area. These storms putting down a quick inch or 2 of rain and containing a ton of lightning. Let's get into it. Defender Radar Network picking up on these clusters of thunderstorms that are working in from west to east across the region. Lexington Metro over the past couple of hours, we've noticed a big increase in those showers and storms. Starting to get a little broken line now from parts of Mercer County, just to the south of Harrodsburg, over toward Bryantsville, northern parts of Garrett County. That extends into Nicholasville, into good old Jessamine County, east side of Lexington with the heaviest rains right on top of us here on Winchester Road. Somewhere in the distance is Hamburg Pavilion. That's some thunder, some lightning, and some heavy downpours. Nothing, though, like this storm just to our northeast into Bourbon County. Check out the tremendous amount of lightning. Eastern parts of Bourbon County, just to the east of downtown Paris. It's going to try to move into parts of the Sharpsburg area, Flemingsburg, maybe eventually Owingsville. South of Moorhead, 519. It is a nasty commute as we cross the Rowan County line into parts of Morgan County. Southern and southeastern Kentucky storms here are a little more isolated in nature compared to what we're dealing with across the northern half of the region. Look back toward the Louisville area. Additional thunderstorms. You can actually pick out a little gust front that is working its way out ahead of those storms. Storms again across the Ohio Valley and centered right on top of Kentucky. That future radar for the evening. As soon as the sun gets low on the horizon, we'll start to see those thunderstorms beginning to decrease in just a bit. Coming up in 15 minutes, I'm going to show you why this is the beginning of another stormy pattern that can cause some heavy rain issues.
Chris, thank you. The search continues this afternoon for a man who followed a woman into her home overnight and robbed her in front of her children.
It happened around midnight on Chestnut Ridge Drive off Leestown Road. WKYT's Mark Barber has the latest on the investigation. It's our top story at 4.
The family says everything happened so quickly their heads are still spinning. The grandmother says she heard her daughter screaming outside, so she ran to the front door and opened it. She says a robber was standing there. He pulled a gun on her and pushed her back into the home. The gunman pressed his silver handgun into the grandmother's stomach and up against the mother's head. Her 2 children, a 5-year-old boy and a 10-year-old girl, watched as the robber grabbed the mother's purse and ran out the door. Police were not able to find him, so the terrified family left their home to find a safe place to stay.
It's not surprising at all in this neighborhood. There's a lot of crime.
If you start knocking on doors in this neighborhood off of Leestown Road on the west end of the city, you find some neighbors share very similar stories.
My house got broken into 5 times. You know, they'd stolen laptops, they had stolen a gun, they stole cash.
Sarah McIntosh is moving to Georgia this weekend. She's leaving Chestnut Ridge Drive for a warmer climate and safer environment.
Perfect time to let my mom enjoy her retirement instead of having to wonder, you know, what the kids are, you know, out into if they're out in the neighborhood playing.
Police are now hoping a tip will come in that will help them catch the robber. They're asking anyone with any information about the case to call them. In Lexington, Mark Barber, WKYT.
Lexington police say they were able to make an arrest in the break-in Sarah McIntosh suffered back in 2012. They're still actively looking for the suspect in this morning's incident. We're tracking the search for an inmate who escaped from a Lexington prison this morning. The State Department of Corrections says Clyde Rader walked away from Blackburn around 7:45 this morning. This isn't Rader's first escape. According to court documents, 19 years ago he escaped from the very same prison. He is serving a 64-year sentence for convictions in Fayette and Madison counties. Police spent the morning patrolling nearby neighborhoods looking for any signs of Rader, but were unable to find them. We'll have an update on WKYT News at 5.
We are working to learn more about the victims of a deadly crash in central Kentucky. Dispatchers say it happened around 8:30 last night on Russell Cave Road, north of US 460 in Bourbon County. Only one car was involved, but the coroner says 2 men were killed in that fiery crash. So far, their names are not being released while police try and find their family members. We are working on a number of other stories for you on WKYT starting at 4:30.
WKYT's Sam Dick joins us from the newsroom with a look at some of the news in progress. Sam?
Good afternoon. A man is detailing his gruesome discovery in a Kentucky river.
I took my gaff that I used to pull fish in, and I reached and hooked the tote and kind of flipped it over, and I actually cut it just a little bit more so I could see further into it. And when I did, you could see a hand.
State police say a dismembered body was found stuffed in a bag that washed up from the Green River in Hart County over the weekend. Troopers say the only thing that's certain right now is that this is a homicide case. The victim has not yet been identified. The 6-year battle over the legality of instant horse racing here in Kentucky will continue a little longer. A hearing earlier today in Franklin Circuit Court centered around the Encore gaming machines at Kentucky Downs in Simpson County. The track shows computer-generated reenactments of previously run horse races. The Family Foundation argues that this simulation, or cartoon as they call it, does not classify as a horse race and should therefore be banned.
You ultimately hurt the horse industry. You drive the horses out because slot machines are the cotton candy of the gambling industry, and it provides immediate gratification in a way that a horse racing does not. We value the horse culture in our state.
We did reach out to the other side for comment, but they denied our request. A tentative trial date has been set for September 6th. The University of Kentucky wants to help you learn more about the Zika virus. Entomology professor and Zika expert Grayson Brown will answer questions during a town hall meeting on Twitter. It takes place from 2 to 3 Wednesday afternoon. Kentucky has had 10 cases of the Zika virus, all travel related. The 10th is a baby born in Fayette County to a mother who traveled to an affected area early in her pregnancy. That's a look at some of the news in progress. Andrea and Amber, back to you.
Thank you, Sam. Now to some stories making headlines across the nation at 4. The Democratic National Convention is getting off to a rocky start today after an email scandal that broke over the weekend showing party officials worked against Senator Bernie Sanders during the primary season.
Chris Welch joins us now from Philadelphia with the latest.
It's day one of the Democratic National Convention, and party leaders face the challenging task of bringing the party together. Senator Bernie Sanders addressed the division in his party in a rally this afternoon and said it's time for Democrats to unify and defeat Donald Trump.
And we have got to elect Hillary Clinton and Tim Kaine.
But the latest scandal may further divide the party. Over the weekend, thousands of private DNC emails were leaked and posted online, raising questions about whether Democratic Party leaders actively supported Hillary Clinton's campaign during the primaries. Outgoing DNC chairwoman Debbie Wasserman Schultz announced Sunday that she would resign after the convention.
Thank you all so much.
But after questions persisted over her leadership, she announced this afternoon she was going to reduce her role even further, saying, "I have decided that in the interest of making sure that we can start the Democratic convention on a high note, that I am not going to gavel in the convention." The Clinton campaign echoing that it's time to put party differences aside and move forward.
And I think it's just a tribute to her willingness to do whatever it takes to have a distraction-free convention here so that we can all come together as a party.
In Philadelphia, I'm Chris Welch.
Coming up on WKYT News at 4:30, we catch up with a couple of Kentucky delegates at the Democratic National Convention. We'll have a live report from Philadelphia.
Verizon has agreed to buy Yahoo. More on the announcement coming up in WKYT's Money Watch.
And why one cereal giant is jumping into the cafe business, and how much one bowl of their high-end cereal will cost you. That's ahead here at 4.
Keep up with the latest news on WKYT.com. Join the conversation on Twitter and become a part of the WKYT Facebook family.
FedEx will soon begin working on a multi-million-dollar expansion to its Northern Kentucky facility. That begins today's Money Watch.
FedEx officials say the expansion will add more than 60 full-time positions and almost 380 part-time jobs. The company has bought 80 acres of land in Burlington and will add more than 350,000 square feet of space to its existing distribution center. Gas prices have dipped to their lowest level for the month of July in 12 years. AAA reports drivers are paying an average of $2.19. That's about 57 cents less than this time last year. And it looks like the trend will continue. Analysts project prices will continue to fall through the end of the year.
Verizon is pulling the plug on some data hogs. Users who were grandfathered into unlimited plans will be forced to move to a metered plan or have their service terminated by Verizon if they use what the company calls an extraordinary amount of data, amounts in excess of 100 GB a month, according to the company. Here's a message for home buyers. Act fast. Zillow says homes are selling a week faster than last year. The average home is closing after just 78 days on the market. That includes the time it takes to close, which is usually 1 or 2 months after the home goes under contract.
Sales for Apple Watches are down 55% since the product launched last year. 3.6 million were shipped in its first few months on the market, but sales reportedly plummeted in the latest quarter in spite of a price discount. Apple is preparing to deliver an updated operating system for its smartwatch this fall called watchOS 3. It promises new features and improved performance. The Apple Watch 2 is expected to debut later this year as well. Now you can dress just like Donald Trump's daughter Ivanka. The businesswoman is promoting the pink dress she wore to introduce her father at Thursday's Republican National Convention. It's a part of her clothing line and called the Ivanka Trump Sleeveless Studded Sheath Dress. It retails for $138, but is currently sold out on her online store and at Nordstrom. At last check, a black version was available at lordandtaylor.com. Ivanka got into the fashion industry by starting a jewelry collection in 2007. She's since expanded in clothing, shoes, handbags, and more. Nutritionists say breakfast is the most important meal of the day.
One giant cereal company is looking to serve it in a whole new way. Kenneth Craig reports from New York.
New York City has some of the world's finest restaurants, but Willie Smith and her husband Mike are grabbing a bowl of cereal instead.
It is a comfort food, makes you feel good.
Kellogg's just opened this cafe in Times Square, featuring brands like Rice Krispies and Fruit Loops. Customers can stick to the basics or indulge in one of the cafe's specialty bowls for about $7.
Frosted Flakes, pistachio and lemon zest, and thyme. Who knew?
The Kellogg's Cafe is the latest company capitalizing on a New York City location to promote its products.
Like the M&M store and the Chobani Yogurt Cafe. Pepsi is planning for a Manhattan cafe later this summer in the wake of weakening soda sales. Michelle Greenwald is a food marketing expert.
If you're doing something that's unique and different and buzzworthy, you want to be in New York. That's where the media is, that's where there's a lot of traffic.
Kellogg's is trying to boost America's appetite for cereal. Sales have slipped recently as people turn to higher protein alternatives.
It's absolutely a part to get people to buy more cereal.
Anthony Rudolph partnered with Kellogg's to give people new ways to eat cereal, like adding coffee to the bowl.
The task was to reimagine a bowl of cereal.
Rudolph hopes the cafe gives customers that experience one bowl at a time. Kenneth Craig, CBS News, New York.
I'm Deanne Stevens, out and about today with the Southeastern Crush team. They are headed to the World Series. More on their trip when we return here on WKYT.
A little bit of rain falling across parts of the area, and in other areas, a whole lot of rain is falling. We'll track that. And up next, I'll show you why this is a sign of things to come. Wait until you see the rain numbers next.
Now, your hour-by-hour forecast with Chief Meteorologist Chris Bailey.
Thunderstorms stealing the show back from the heat over the weekend, and the thunderstorms are really going to ramp it up over the next several days. As a matter of fact, it's a very stormy period reminiscent of what we were going through a few weeks back. Let's look outside in Lexington, Hamburg Pavilion in the distance. How about knocking that temperature down into the 70s after thunderstorms rolled across the region, humidity at 84%. So the muggy factor is still way, way off the charts. Where it is raining, we're down into the 70s. Outside of any rain, it's upper 80s to low 90s into much of central and eastern Kentucky. And look at your Defender Radar Network getting in on those thunderstorms that are on top of the bluegrass region especially. And after one of these storms rolls through, the sun comes out. You want to talk about some steam. You may literally see the steam rising off the ground in a setup like this. From Harrodsburg to Danville, some rains beginning to pop here. Thunder and lightning, Bryant'sville toward Nicholasville. Lexington, west side of town, beginning to clean the sky up a little bit. Still a little light rain here on Winchester Road. Thunder and lightning, though, for folks around Clark County. That is our second big storm of the afternoon. And these storms in a few spots have dropped 1 to 2 inches of rain in a short amount of time. Bourbon County, Nicholas County, now working into northern parts of Montgomery and Bath counties. Strong thunderstorms coming together on top of Mount Olivet and Maysville. Down into Flemingsburg, thunderstorm complex between the Moorhead area and West Liberty beginning to decrease. And across southern Kentucky, stuff here is much more scattered than what we're seeing into the bluegrass region and points to the north. Another strong thunderstorm that is rolling its way toward the BG Parkway corridor over the next hour and change. Got a front that is out there. It's putting the brakes on. So what we see today is likely what we're going to be seeing as we go into the day tomorrow, with some thunderstorms around upper 80s, 90, 91 degrees outside of any thunderstorm. But those storms are going to begin to pack a punch, and more of a punch over the next several days. Still steamy and sometimes stormy tomorrow. Storm or two around on Wednesday. We're going to keep a very close eye on Thursday. Thursday's a day when showers and thunderstorms become likely, and heavy rains may be the big concern that I have going forward. Not maybe, I think they are, and I'll show you that here in just a second. Let's break down the hour-by-hour outlook. Noontime tomorrow, everything steams up, then all of a sudden it storms up through the afternoon. That's what's going to happen. You're going to hit your high temperature in some cases 1, 2 o'clock into the afternoon, then all of a sudden thunderstorms knock it down a notch or two. Let's go into Wednesday. Got a few more storms that will go up around noon and through the afternoon, and the temperatures drop. How about we do it all over again? But notice on Thursday now, we see more coverage of those showers and thunderstorms. And over the next week, these computer models are really spitting out a ton of rain across central and eastern Kentucky. Look at that, 2, 3, 4 inches at least suggested over the next week. So that's something we'll keep a very close eye on. Thunderstorms, again, will become likely later this week. That'll knock the temperatures down. It's still going to stay awfully steamy and awfully humid right on through the upcoming weekend. Right now, let's check on traffic with the wet roads out there, see what delays we have with Officer Don.
Well, several issues we're dealing with, including a couple of collisions. One's on Nicholasville Road, right where we don't need it. Outbound just before the circle, police are clearing an injury crash there that has one lane of Nicholasville Road blocked. Also very slow on the east side of town at the moment between Winchester Road over toward Richmond Road, both directions on the circle. Drive times this afternoon going to be impacted, but still to Nicholasville holding about 15 minutes. It looks like the same to Georgetown and Versailles. We're okay right now past the county line. Now back to you in the studio.
Thank you, Don. One Central Kentucky baseball team is making its mark on the World Series world.
Deanne Stevens is out and about today catching up with the young men to explain. Hi, Deanne.
20 jumping jacks. Ready? Go.
Okay, so Trenton and I are getting ready for the 12U World Series. Coming up here, I'm going to let them do all the work. Coming up here on Thursday, this awesome Southeastern Crush team is headed there. Coach Steve Ryan is with us. Coach, you guys work these guys, don't you?
We do. We work quite a bit. They don't even like days off. They like coming out here with their friends all the time. So yeah, we spend a lot of time out on the field.
You know, you probably say that a little bit jokingly, but it is true for kids like these who are so dedicated to this sport, and you have to be a team headed to the World Series.
Yeah, absolutely. I do joke, but they do, when they come up to the park. If we give a night off, they're up the park. They're hanging with their friends or trying to get in extra batting practice. A lot of times they'll ask me to throw or another coach to throw batting practice. So, yeah, they spend a lot of time with it.
What does it take to get a team like this to the World Series? Because from what I understand, not only does it take incredible parents who are getting them here, but it takes a little bit of help from the public too, right?
It does, absolutely. Yeah, the public helping the parents defray some of the cost and you know, allowing us to give the kids the best experience we can while they're up there. It does definitely help.
You guys have done car washes, but you're doing a few things this week leading up to Thursday.
Yeah, Monday night we've got a fundraiser dinner at Malone's Sal's Banquet Room, and It's a great event, $50, open bar and food. And
now that's tonight. Is that open to the public? What time?
It is. It's 7 o'clock, open to the public. And again, just a great way to support the kids and the baseball team.
And a GoFundMe page if folks are sitting out there going, oh, I played baseball once, I want to support them.
Absolutely. So a GoFundMe page, Southeastern Crush 12U in Lexington, Kentucky. They should be able to find it.
Okay. Are you guys ready to play some ball? Yes, ma'am. I didn't hear you. Are you guys ready to play a little ball?
Yeah.
All right. Coming up at 4:50, we are playing some ball with Southeastern Crush as they prepare for a big old trip, the World Series happening on Thursday. I'm Deanne Stevens, out and about. Say, go Crush. Go Crush. Back to you guys.
A new study shows teen athletes are less likely to abuse painkillers. That's ahead in Better Living. And we'll show you the latest trend in children's clothing. Find out what brands are jumping on the bandwagon coming up.
Tomorrow's Mega Millions total is $15 million, and Wednesday night's Powerball is up to $422 million.
Now it's time for Better Living, health, education, and consumer news that impacts your life. A new study suggests teenagers active in sports are less likely to abuse certain types of drugs. The study suggests active teens are less likely to abuse opioids and heroin. Researchers in Michigan tracked nearly 200,000 eighth graders and high school sophomores. They found regular participation in sports and exercise, even just once a week, may help protect students from misusing painkillers. The American Academy of Pediatrics is recommending improvements in emergency medical care that focuses on the needs of children. Doctors warn that having only adult-size emergency equipment on hand makes treating pediatric emergencies much more difficult. This back-to-school season, kids' clothing makers are thinking beyond pink for girls and blue for boys. A growing number of retailers are making gender-neutral clothing, like Target, Lands' End, and Zara. There are also smaller companies catering to kids who don't fit into the stereotypes, like Jessie and Jack, which makes dresses that have trains and planes. The news is just now getting started. Here's Sam Dick and Amber Philpott with what we're working on at 4:30.